Well, this is a special edition of Unsweetened with Rich and Marty. It's just Marty today. I almost said Rich, believe that or not. Rich is running around, and we had a little bit of a conversation about the Brunson case, and had a few people reach out and wanted to know what it was and to explain it a little bit better. So we're just going to show you where it stands right now, kind of fill you in on exactly what the Brunson case was. It's kind of morphed 2 or 3 times, and I'll explain as we go. You'll follow along. But this is the Brunson case, so we have it right here. This was in the Supreme Court. This started in Utah. It was 2 brothers. They've done a couple of different lawsuits. This lawsuit here in particular is the one that people have asked me about. What this does, and Scott can scroll down a little bit or whatever, it goes into exactly what was questioned in their lawsuit. So their lawsuit basically states, and if you can scroll down a couple more, I mean, you can pause and read this. You can go find it yourself. Keep going. Basically okay, so right here, this is basically who's named in the lawsuit from Brunson versus U.S. 388 people, and you can read them all there. You can pause to read them. You can go look. It was basically everybody, and you go down, it's Joe Biden, it's Mike Pence, it's Nancy Pelosi, it's all of them. What the lawsuit basically states is, on the electoral stuff on January 6th, if there's a confliction with an election in a state, and there was, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, I think it was 8 states rejected giving their electorals in 2020 because they had thought, or there might be voter fraud or some kind of voter tampering. So they were going to check. By the Constitution and the law of the United States, the vice president is supposed to make a 10-day delay and send all the states home to figure out exactly what was going on in their state and if they had any corrections to do, and then all come back together after the 10 days and do it again. It was just another check and balance to make sure things were being done correctly. What the lawsuit says is, if you scroll down past all those names, it basically starts explaining every part of the Constitution in Utah and the United States government. This started in Utah. They put it in a Utah court, and then it went up and then got rejected. It went to appeals court and rejected. It's been all the way through the system, and it got into the hands of the Supreme Court last April, over a year ago. Basically, what Brunson is saying is, by the Constitution, those 388 people that presented the electoral votes and made President Biden president didn't follow the Constitution, because there were states that were admitting because they didn't think their votes were right or something was wrong. And since they didn't go back and do the 10-day thing, and they processed it anyway, the electoral votes, they broke the Constitution, which, by what they did, is determined to be treason. The law they broke, by his court case, those 388 people should be held liable for treason. And it says right there, the amendment, First Amendment, you can read everything. It's everything listed in here. This has been going on for like 3 years. Some courts said they were correct, and then when it went to the next level, the appeals court pushed it back, and then it went to the district courts. It's gone through everything. But it says right there, scroll back 1 minute, it says this action is against 388 federal officers in their official capacity, which include Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Vice President Mike Pence. All respondents were sworn to their oath to protect the Constitution. from foreign invaders within or without, outside the borders. The representatives waged a covert domestic war against the United States. This war began on January 6th during the 117th session of Congress, when arguments arose from both sides of the party accusing each other of treason for causing a breach of the electoral process. Over 100 members of Congress requested an investigation into all those breaches. 100 of them. So that's a quarter. It was the respondents who voted not to investigate. So the Democrats had the majority, so they blocked the investigation. It was the these breaches. If a breach in the electoral process seeks to put into power its victor, but you go on and on and on. So basically what Brunson was saying is they did not follow the Constitution processing the electoral votes. They were supposed to send everybody home for 10 days by the Constitution and the rule of the law. Then they were all supposed to come back in 10 days and reconvene and present their electoral votes. So not doing that, they subverted the Constitution. So now let me tell you about the case. So you pull up the one other, you can go on and read this. There's a whole bunch of pages. We have this downloaded.
I'm just scrolling down for everybody to pause and listen to. So
you can read it on your own. You can go look it up. It's all out there. Pull up the one other screen because it kind of shows you the courts it went through. No. I'm talking about the other tab we have up.
Oh.
So what's interesting about this is it started in Utah. He filed it there, and then this is the docket from the Supreme Court. You can go to the Supreme Court docket, and it tells you April 19th, right here, a petition of writ was filed in respondents. See, but it says response due. Look what the date, May 24th. So then there was another brief, and then there's the waiver of right respondent. And then if you keep going down, it was distributed to the Supreme Court. On June 23, it was denied. July 7th, they changed the wording in the documents. That's what basically the Supreme Court said. The wording wasn't right. So they changed the wording, the petition for rehiring, and then it was redistributed again in July. And then in August, they denied it. Now, here's where some people say, and I'll just do this for everybody at home, the conspiracy theorists or, blah, 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 is that he's had to have 4 or 5 legitimate people in the know that we've heard from have said he has actually stated it in one of his TikTok videos. He had to sign an NDA about 3 weeks after it was dismissed the second time.
And who are you? Who is this?
Mr. Brunson.
Brunson.
Lloyd
Okay.
Brunson. Yeah. He supposedly is now still under an NDA. If you go look at his TikToks and Twitter and all this stuff for all the way up to 23, it was video after video after video what he was doing. And then all of a sudden for the last year, he hadn't made a TikTok. He hasn't made a tweet. He hasn't done anything. So the word is the conspiracy theories. I'm just giving you both sides of the story here. So basically that's been denied. The conspiracy theories say it hasn't been denied, that they reworded it. It was refiled again, and the Supreme Court still has it, and they're making a decision on it. Or they've already made a decision on it. Should I put it that way? Now, the next part of this, people go, okay, well, it says denied, and you can't do it. Okay, well, follow along on the steps. I don't have it pulled up, but you can go find where Mr. Brunson, after this was denied again, where he filed a suit against the Supreme Court, in the Supreme Court, against 3 of the liberal judges, saying they voted to not hear the case, which was illegal, and they have now committed treason, the Supreme Court, and that they need to be tried. So there's more to this that's going on. So what I think this is telling us is, if you're a Supreme Court judge and the Supreme Court, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution, and the Constitution says that they're supposed to, by constitutional law, they're supposed to go home for 10 days and reconvene again, and they did all that and broke the Constitution, that they were treasonous against the United States of America. That's basically what is lost in the Supreme Court. didn't make a judgment on it. They just refused to hear it. That's what that means when it says hearing denied. That means it was given to 3 or 4 of the judges, and it was, and 3 of the liberal judges voted 3-1 to not hear it. Only 1 conservative judge was given the brief on both of them. And that's where his next lawsuit came in, with the 3 that voted against it were breaking the Constitution and not doing their oath. So that's where the Brunson case goes. You can follow along. There's actually another brother. I think his name is, one's Loy. And then there's another brother that he's had lawsuits all the way up through the Supreme Court about election, election stuff and other things that have been, some of them like this have been denied. But when you start really looking at the case and reading the lawful case, those people broke the law of the land. So, does this come back into play some point of time? At this point in time, that just shows me we have 3 judges right now that aren't following the Constitution when it comes to the Supreme Court.
And this is number 221028.
Yeah, and
for people that want to go in. And
you can
look for yourself.
You can click on it and go in and look. You can read all the petition. The main documents are right there. I mean, that's where if you click on this, like the main document, I think it pulls up the other part that we have open. So there's more things in there. You can go back and read the original petition.
And the link that the actual court filing is also linked in there. So you can also click on the petition up here and look at the actual court documentation and all that kind of stuff and make your own judgment.
Yeah, so this is one thing where, if you read the documents prove one thing and the court went a different way. And this is the problem, that we don't have people that are being held accountable for this. This should have been on the national news, and that's what the problem with some of this stuff is. This should have been out in the news. The lawsuit should have been, and an explanation of what was going on. I guarantee you most people this would have been the biggest trial of the century. The O.J. Simpson trial would have looked nothing compared to this. But that's kind of really a rundown of the Brunson case. I mean, I know a couple of people wanted to know a little bit more. But you have the conspiracy people out there. People say all the time, the Brunson case, this is going to be dropped at any point in time, and that's how Trump's going to be put back into power. And I think all this was done just to show us how bad the system really is. That's the whole problem with this system. It's their system, and it's always going to be their system.
Well, we can link the court document in the description if y'all want to go click and learn something about this yourself, form your own opinion. This is going to be linked in the description if y'all are interested to check it out.
Yeah. All right. That was all we really had. And we just somebody had some questions about it, so we thought we'd get this short done real quick, or whatever we want to call this on our video thing. But we just wanted to shoot some information out there. You look it up, you decide what's going on. When you saw the polls and all the rest of the stuff from the last week and how correct they were, that shows me that just about everything online that they're telling us or we're reading might not be correct. So those denied could just be typed in there for any reason. You know what I mean? So I don't know. If you read the lawsuit, it should somehow be in the public eye. It really should. And I don't know if they're just trying to keep it out of the public eye, but it really needs, this is the kind of stuff people need to come around about right here. This is the stuff that's showing they completely did the wrong thing. We probably wouldn't have had the rest of the January fiasco if maybe some of this stuff was followed by the rule of the law. I don't know. We'll catch you on the next one. This was just going to be a quick thing. We thought we might start doing some of these. I think Rich might throw a couple on with some music and a couple other different things. But we're going to do some shorts every once in a while just to keep you interested and let you know what's happening out there. I think the Rigger podcast will be back the end of this week. And I think we have another live schedule coming for the end of November. But we'll let you know about that soon. All right. Take it easy. Peace.
Well, we're going to bring a lot to you, man. So y'all just stay tuned and be prepared.